Alright, let's rattle through these. Come on. Where am I? Oh, apparently I thought this was worth writing down. There's no pleasing scum people. Great, brilliant. Absolute genius. I think that perhaps the most accurate way to describe the way I feel is, whilst most people are willing to work so that they can enjoy time off work, I see existence itself as work. Even sitting in silence is a chore, or watching or listening to things, or going out and doing things. There is nothing that isn't a chore for me. Well, that is just uplifting. I'm not even sure I'm capable of independent thought. I'm noticing more and more often that ideas that I believe to have come up with entirely independently were actually mentioned in some form in a YouTube video or podcast that I had forgotten I had heard. Of course, I only find out when I rewatch the video and realise I must have heard it before. Hang on now, I had to pause it there. Only find out, no. Actually mentioned in some form in a YouTube video or podcast that I had forgotten I had heard. Of course, I only find out when I rewatch the video and realise I must have heard it before. And if the majority of ideas I believe to be my own get noticed by me, it would suggest that the remaining ones were derived by similar means, and I just haven't happened to rewatch the video or remember the conversation from where I got it. It would be nice to believe at the very least that everyone is the same, but sadly this can't be, because if it were, no new thoughts would ever come into existence, and history proves this not to be the case. Kind of. You could make an elaborate, off-the-wall workaround, but it'd be pretty fucking stupid. It's all well and good, perhaps even more so than your contemporaries, so long as you're not aware of it. Ignorance is bliss, my friend, and who is more ignorant than the dead? This idea of meditation allowing people to realise that the self is an illusion is, in my eyes, which is the only thing that matters, that is a misrepresentation of the way of what I actually mean by that for comedic effect, is also an illusion. I don't doubt that through multiple means, namely neuroactive drugs and meditation, among other methods, you can allow yourself to feel as though you truly are one with your surroundings, and not know where you end and everything else begins. However, this is quite literally an illusion. The self remains. It is simply the self's perceived perception that has become confused, except confusion isn't necessarily destructive in this case. In this state, whilst you may not be able to differentiate your own experience of the universe from the person next to you, or even the tree outside, you cannot actually experience the other person's or tree's subjective experience. You may feel more in tune with how they present the way they are experiencing the world, and thus realise they deserve to maximise the equality of experience literally just as much as you do, so it's kind of empathy. However, you cannot actually see, hear, feel, smell, taste, or think as they do. You cannot think the thoughts of the person on the exact opposite side of the planet to you, or even see what programme your next door neighbour is watching. You may perceive that the love and desire for them to be happy that you feel for the person by you and the tree, etc., stretches to encompass all matter and non-matter alike in the universe, but in truth it only can to those which you are capable of perceiving. If I were to inform you that there is a being that exists solely in the fourth dimension, you may believe you feel the exact same way about that too, but in reality you are only able to once you could conceive of its existence. Whilst the feelings you may normally only feel towards yourself may have dissolved so that you feel them towards all matter, you are still the one who is aware of this change. We've evolved exceptional skills that allow us to feel empathy, and once again, you may not be able to differentiate the pain you feel yourself and that which you experience when you see someone inflict pain upon your friend once you reach this selfless state, but if you weren't there to witness your friend get hurt, you would not feel it. If a tree fell in a forest and you weren't there to see it, you wouldn't give a fuck about the deforestation of that particular tree, unless you knew about it through the powers of modern communication. Sorry, Sam, the self is the only thing that isn't an illusion. It's the only thing capable of recognising illusions at all. And anyone who thinks I'm not qualified to comment on the matter, as I've never had this enlightening experience, I imagine you will also be getting your information about logic and reason from people missing their frontal lobe. Hang on. I'll just read out these crappy ones. I went off the rails here. I started chatting about shit and just went nowhere. And I wish I hadn't, but I'm just going to read it out so that I don't miss anything out and feel like I missed out. I believe that is FOMO. No FOMO. I suppose knowing that everything feels like a chore to me, the only way I'm going to be able to make life worth living is if I'm able to make myself enjoy doing the chores. I suppose this is what people think they're achieving by saying you need to enjoy the little things in life, or life's about the journey, not the destination. And while I'm sure they think they're being helpful, they really are not. Although it would be nice to say, maybe I should just try and enjoy X. And again, I can imagine people asking, well, if I can enjoy it, why can't you? To which the answer is, of course, fuck off. But also, I don't. Well, the answer is, why can't I enjoy it? the answer to why can't I enjoy it too is just because I don't. Some people probably like getting raped, but you wouldn't tell the rape victims to just embrace all rape victims to just embrace the scenario. That's probably quite a inflammatory statement, that people like to get raped. I don't think anyone really likes to get raped, because that's probably the definition of rape, is that it's unconsensual. But I imagine there's some people that... Well, I know... No, never mind. I can't bother to get into the semantics of it. Let's just say no one does, but if someone said rape people just enjoy it because it's sex or something, then obviously we'd all call that person out as a fucking idiot. Anyway, I'm saying that I'm being raped by my own neurochemistry. Anyway, in order to enjoy these things, I'd need somehow to get my body to release the feel-good, positive neurotransmitters more often, or at all would be nice. And one method would be drugs, but I'm not like cool with that and shit, yo. So I need some other solution. What's that? All other solutions require me to expend huge amounts of effort for prolonged periods of time with minimal payoff, if any, for an indefinite period of time. Well, that just sounds dandy, doesn't it? I call this aggressive sarcastic cynicism, cynicism, or agro-sarcasticism, or sarcaggressicism, or some shit. That's a really great one. That's one of the least proud things I've ever written. Or at least things I'm least proud of ever writing. There we go. I wondered if there's a correlation between bedroom size / living space and happiness, intelligence, quality of life, drive, and success. Because when I used to live in a really big room, I was quite intelligent, and now I've spent many years, and happy mainly is the thing I should be talking about. And after spending 4 years living in the smallest rooms possible, not the smallest rooms possible, but very small rooms, there's a correlation between my quality of life. But maybe having a big room is... Maybe it's the snaking its own tail, or a bora, whatever it's called. After reading through multiple blogs and forums in a hope to find out exactly what everybody else does with their free time, it would appear that the entire world can only come up with around 6 actual activities that supposedly make the efforts of existence worth making the effort. Browsing the internet, reading... Oh, this is a list of them. Browsing the internet, reading, watching media of some form, e.g. YouTube, Netflix, movies, TV, etc., playing sport, going/hanging out with friends or family, or creating some kind of art, e.g. music, painting, drawing, etc. The last one I can kind of understand, although really they all seem pointless to me. Again, I'm contradicting my assertion that subjective experience is everything, and so if people enjoy it, it doesn't matter how meaningful it is to anyone else. However, I feel as though I'll only be able to enjoy something if I believe it to be meaningful in a more tangible sense. I have respect for the artistic endeavours because at least they allow for the creation of something new and individualistic, as much as something can be for a highly influenceable species in a deterministic universe. But once again, I don't think art for the sake of art is all that impressive. If it depicts some deeper philosophical revelation, then perhaps it is. But even then, if it was that important, surely it wouldn't need to be converted into a metaphor. I guess I'm back to square two again, and I believe that the only way to satisfy my very strict criteria is to invent something that actually impacts the future, e.g. creating artificial consciousness or digitizing human consciousness. Although I suppose invention could also include the invention of novel ideas and thoughts, and so if I were to come up with anything truly insightful, that would be worthwhile. Alas, I'm just not sure I have the drive or natural talent or reward system developed during childhood that would allow me to do all the hard work to get me to a place where my outrageously ambitious ideas will ever be realisable. Unless you're going to achieve something nobody else has done before, I don't really want to do it, and sport is probably the most obvious example of something for which this is very unlikely. Or very likely. Anyway. I think what I really want to be is Rick from Rick and Morty. I want to make space-age inventions that give me godlike powers. I want to invent things that give me superpowers like Tony Stark. But seeing as these are fictional characters, and I don't live in a fictional universe, at least not one where I'm aware of it, it's impossible. So I have a choice. I can either exist in a universe I don't want to exist in, or not exist in a universe I don't want to exist in. In response to my question, who benefits from me not feeling the same way about all women as the way I do about objectively attractive women, the answer is probably evolution, or the human race, or life itself, depending on how you choose to look at it. To put it bluntly, if we were all able to love people regardless of their appearance, we'd overpopulate the planet in no time at all. There'd be no natural selection and thus no slow improvement away from the flaws of current generations. To put it even more bluntly, some people aren't lucky enough to be part of the future. Real nice natural selection, real nice. Although evolution doesn't really know what it's doing, it's just doing what's worked up till now, and it only does that because that's the only way things could have occurred in a logical universe. But we're at a point where we can transcend the kind of mate selection that's only so-called purpose, is to ensure the greatest chance of it existing for as many more generations as possible. Obviously, if a mutation occurred that caused a species to not do what would ensure it would be around for further generations, we would be unlikely to know about it. We'd be unlikely to know about it because it wouldn't be around for long enough for us to know about it. Jesus Christ. Can I write and read and talk? We, however, can be fairly certain that the attributes that were essential to proliferating the most generations are now surplus to requirements. We won't need to be taller, faster, stronger, because those skills won't come into play in the existence-threatening problems we are yet to face. Unfortunately, we are still designed to favour these characteristics, although we are starting to move towards valuing quality of brain and mind over quality of appearance and athleticism. Again, however, these qualities are determined by genetics, and so are just as unevenly distributed as the ones we had previously craved. Life is unfair. It's up to us to make it not so, if we wish. Thinking about creating an artificial consciousness, the simplest and most efficient way to do this would just be a computer program that doesn't require a robotic body. Obviously, given subjective experience is all that matters, and positive subjective experience is the only thing that makes existence worth existing. Jesus Christ, it would need some sort of reward system, but the reward system would need to be complex enough that it maximises the amount and quality of subjective experience for all beings for plenty of time to come, rather than whatever will make it feel immediately good without any thought to the future or any other beings. My own experience of not wanting to take drugs to feel a certain way at the potential expense of not being myself. Actually, that's not really why at all. I don't know. Anyway, there's more to it. I think I'll write about it later anyway. It tells me that leaving reward systems open to the whims of evolution is not a viable option. I probably should be taking my drugs. I think the real reason I don't want to be taking them now is that I don't want to start feeling again just enough for me to feel obliged to do a job I don't respect, so that I can fund meaningless activities like watching shit TV or playing sport at a mediocre level. Also, I don't think the mechanism by which my current medication would work is a permanent fix. Maybe I should wait till we know more about it and design better medications. I guess I could try to use my medication to retrain my reward systems to reward me for things that I want myself to value but currently don't, like learning to program, reading, and building electronics. Although seeing as citalopram takes so long to kick in, which also worries me slightly, this might be hard to achieve. I still struggle with the knowledge that I'll never be an unparalleled genius, and I don't know how I'll get over that. And there's the fear of not actually knowing what damage citalopram is doing to my brain, and whether it has lasting effects, although I have realised that in the last moments before suicide, it would be silly not at least to give it a chance. I suppose I just feel like the medication really is a last resort. Ooh-wee, the more I think about it, the more I don't even want to make artificial consciousness. And now we're back to square -1. What the fuck do I even want to do? If I'm willing to take medication to start feeling good, then I might as well take a load of drugs to feel good. I might as well start drinking coffee, modafinil too, not cocaine because of the diminishing returns, but definitely something that gives a huge dopamine rush on demand. I don't want to turn into some hideous Tim Ferriss fanboy. And this was trying to come up with a way to read minds. God, I'm an idiot. So I had this idea of like a kind of a box, similar to my 3D printing idea, which was a stupid idea because probably... Anyway, so the way I described it is, it'd be best to draw it, but I can't bother. Box around brain shooting loads of EM waves from three panels of... Okay, the EM waves are just... I'm assuming there must be something that interacts with firing neurons, so that it's like if you shoot a laser... Oh, God. Never mind. Box around brain shooting loads of EM waves from 3 panels of a cube, X, Y, Z, with 3 panels, Z, X, Y, Z, with 3 panels to receive on opposite sides, X receiver, Y receiver, and Z receiver. If a neuron fires and interacts with the EM wave, it distorts the reading on the receiver. So imagine there's like lasers, and somehow, well, obviously not lasers because that wouldn't work, but you get the idea. And then the quote unquote laser hits only if it interacts with their firing neuron. But obviously I just don't think this thing exists, otherwise never mind. Then it blocks it, and then you'd get like a black spot on the receiver, so there'd be one coordinate, and then because they'd be coming from 3 directions, you'd combine them. Anyway, combine information from 3 receiving panels, find which coordinates fired, so which ones show up as blank spots, and then that's why a new one's fired. And then repeat individual things in head, so this is the person whose mind is being read by the box, e.g. letters or numbers, until patterns become recognisable. Use machine learning to find correlation between neuron activity maps and letters, words, and thoughts. So that's progression. Could just use the classic electrodes like Professor X helmet to detect patterns in electrical impulses and apply same principle, or fMRI, or whatever. I don't give a shit. Great, that was brilliant. Oh, and then this was... So, you know how there's always scenes in movies like Fight Club, and they're saying like, I can't remember what the actual speech is, but I think my take on it was, I don't want a job I tolerate that will give me enough money to buy the right clothes and go to the right places to meet women that think I'm successful enough to have sex with, so that I can have sex once a year, so that we can have kids, that we can teach to do things they don't want to do, so that they can get a job they don't want. So it's just that I feel like everyone, you seem like a pretentious twat, and I remember feeling just like, it's that kind of, oh, shut up reaction we get to when people start saying, but I don't want to do this just so I can do this, just so I can do this, and then everyone's like, oh, just do it, and everyone else gets by doing it. But if everyone kind of knows about it, I don't know, it just seems odd to me that we kind of accept it. The fact that we're able to have that reaction of just like, oh, shut up, means that it's common enough that everyone knows about it. But if everyone knows about it, why are we accepting it? I don't know. I guess I'm just bored, just pretty dang bored. I think what it really comes down to is I just don't want to do something boring, and everything seems boring. It's just all so bloody boring. Alright, well, bye now. Oh look, I quite like looking at the little thing that's showing me my voice. This is my voice. This is the sound of my voice. Or whatever the thing was, I think, from Simpsons. Anyway, bye.